right, well, we can get started whenever you all are ready.
Okay. I call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We are here for the Tuesday, May 16th regular trustee meeting. Ms. Crafts, can you please call the roll?
Sure. Mrs. Faust?
Here.
Ms. Knapp?
Here.
Mr. Grumbles?
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comment today? Okay, seeing none. We have Commissioner Lewis with us this morning to chat about Trustee Grumbles. So you want to come forward, and then I think other people are also going to say some things as well.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here, and I love your new desk. I mean, that's amazing. I'm really glad to be here just to share a few thoughts about Ben. Boy, you have an exciting new position, which, of course, I don't know anything about the particulars, but I mean, this really is an important new career opportunity. But in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you for your service for Orange Township and for Delaware County. I first began my public service in 2008 as a Genoa Township trustee, where I served for 7 years before becoming a county commissioner. And that was 2015 when I became a county commissioner. It's amazing, 9 years. Ben began serving Orange Township 4 years after that in 2019, but I didn't have the pleasure of meeting him until after he'd been in office for about a year. I came to know Ben better through former Orange Township trustee Deb Toronto, who would come to hold him in high regard after working with him for a year or so. Around that time, my husband Jim was serving as president of the Board of People in Need. He first met Ben, and I remember Jim telling me this, and actually I think it was at this fundraiser, but he met Ben at a pin bake sale fundraiser when Ben made a substantial and unexpected financial donation to the charity. And I remember Jim saying, wow, I mean, there was a wonderful little guy in, I think he was in middle school then,
Caleb.
Who was Caleb, who organized a bake sale for PIN, and people were coming in, and then all of a sudden this tall, bald guy came up, and then Jim mentioned later, who was that? And I said, gee, I don't know. And so I believe that's when you may have met Jim at that time, but it was amazing. And Ben later delivered hundreds of pounds of fresh produce from the Orange Township Community Garden to people in need. And that organization and Jim will be always very grateful for Ben's generous support. In addition, Jim and I have also proudly joined with many others in supporting Orange Township's new Veterans Memorial, an important community project that Ben has spearheaded. And I do believe there's a former trustee named Rob Quigley here who worked very hard on that too. In following Ben's career in Orange Township, I developed an appreciation of his leadership as the township navigated through an unfortunate series of controversies. One thing shone through it all: Ben's personal integrity and dedication to Orange Township. Above all else, Ben wished to reestablish trust and stability in the township's governance. He strived to bring the community together at every level, from public meetings to literally working the dirt at the community garden he organized, always striving to improve the quality of life for the residents of the township while building trusts in their government. Ben did some of this at great personal sacrifice. He never sought personal advancement, recognition, or political gain, just the chance to serve the township as a loyal, dedicated trustee. Ben, I commend you for your efforts and the many lasting contributions that you've made to both Orange Township and to the county. The board now faces the challenge of replacing Ben with a new trustee. I think that process is in very good hands, and I do think that you will choose someone with Ben's professionalism and integrity. I look forward to meeting that new trustee and to continue working together with Orange Township. Ben, speaking as a county commissioner and also your friend, once again, I thank you for your service to
Thank you very
Orange
much.
and to the county. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank both Barb and Jim. It was an interesting way that we really came together. I started to see Jim more frequently when I would drop off produce, and they had different events at Penn, and then during some of the controversial episodes that we navigated through as a township, I can't overstate the value of advice and feedback that I received when I needed it. You know, if I reached out and asked for opinions or feedback, even when it was directed at me, is that really, you know, how you want to behave, or is that really how you want to think this through? Just the candor and the friendship there, Jim, meant a tremendous amount. And I'll forever be grateful for that. So thank you so much.
I guess I'd like to just jump in here. That's a hard act to follow, Barb. Very well done. Just a few words. I mean, as your time serving our community comes to an end, I wanted to take a moment to express my appreciation for your dedication and hard work. The countless hours you have spent serving our township have not gone unnoticed. I'm grateful for all that you've done to make our community a better place to live. During your tenure, you have worked tirelessly to ensure that our township runs smoothly and efficiently. Your commitment to improving the lives of our residents has been evident in all that you do, from advocating for better infrastructure, economic development, supporting local businesses, and as well as community organizations. Not only have you been a great trustee, operating with diligence and integrity, but you've also been a friend to many of us, myself included. Your willingness to listen, offer support, and lend a helping hand has made an impact on me, my professional development here at the township, the team at Orange Township, and the community. Looking back at the time we have worked together, I will always remember your unwavering dedication to do the right thing for our community, even when it came at personal cost. On behalf of everyone here today, I want to thank you for your invaluable service and your friendship. I will miss you and wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I also have a few words, and now my emotions are gonna get to me. Ben, during your time in office, you've accomplished a great deal for our township, including but not limited to transitioning our new leadership, promoting economic development initiatives, advocating for mental health, and our creation of our Veterans Memorial. Your leadership and advocacy have been instrumental in bringing about positive change and progress for our community. I personally would not be in this position if it wasn't for your encouragement and confidence in me, so I'm very grateful for that. As you prepare to move on to your next chapter of life, I want to extend my sincere thanks for all that you've done for our township. Your leadership, integrity, and dedication will be missed, and your contributions will never be forgotten. So don't be a stranger. On behalf of the entire township staff, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We are confident that you will continue to make a positive impact wherever your path may lead you. Thanks for your service.
Okay, I guess I'm next. Ben, when did we meet? 2016 or
Yeah,
was it
I think,
long
yeah,
ago?
it was long.
So you contacted me because you had some concerns about the township's finances and some things that were going on. So
Your post got my attention.
So I got to know you through that, and then of course a few years later you ran against me, and that I wasn't very happy about that. But then I never thought I would run again. But then I ran and won, and you did help me in that, and we kind of put our differences aside, and we're able to work alongside now, which has just been absolutely wonderful. Kind of I healed up in an area of my life that there's a little bit of a hole in after that the controversy. So that's been personally a good thing for me, and I've enjoyed getting to know you better. So it's kind of been a wild ride in that respect. I don't know how many people actually end up working together after they ran against each other in the first place. So I'd like to say that one of the things I admire about you is that whatever you set your mind to, you accomplish. You're an incredible project manager, one of the most intelligent people, honestly, I've ever met in my life. Sometimes to your detriment, you're a little bit too smart sometimes, but so you see things that not everyone can see. So we can't all follow along all the time, but especially me. But you are a very good leader. You're a hard worker. You're one of the most driven people I've ever met, and I respect that about you a lot. I think whatever your future holds, you'll be able to accomplish anything, as always, that you set your mind to. I'm proud to have served with you. I wish it had been longer. I wish that you could have served longer, but I understand why you need to move and take this awesome new job that you've taken. So let's see. You'll be very hard to replace. I've really appreciated your Veterans Memorial work and your service to your country, something that many of us have not done. You sacrificed quite a bit there. Your hard work on the Veterans Memorial is priceless. I mean, it's going to be hard to replace you on that. And also, all your economic development work has been absolutely incredible. So I'd like to find someone that has a similar type of experience. That's going to be hard to do. So that's something incredible you brought to the board and the township. I'm gonna miss your camo jacket with the contrasting checks. I'm gonna miss that too. You have
Brings out my eyes.
Yeah, it does. So, but it's like I said, it's been a wild ride, and I've enjoyed it, and I wish you well in the future.
Thank you.
I'm gonna miss you.
And I remember when I called Lisa to tell her I was going to run, I said something to her, and it's held true. And I want to remember that. I said that sometimes when you're in the middle of a storm, it's extremely hard to navigate through. But if you pause and there's disruptive change, it gives you new perspective, and everything becomes more clear. You can heal. You can do all the things that you just shared. I didn't think you were done serving at all, and I was happy that you ran again. And you've come back to the board, and I think demonstrated to the township and to many people what you're capable of, and that you've demonstrated your personal growth. You've demonstrated forgiveness, which is critical. But you've also demonstrated what can happen when people put the past behind them and don't look over their shoulder. And I think, if you think about Rob Quigley sitting out here, Rob and I had our first conversation, and it wasn't a good one. We were talking about a good topic in the Veterans Memorial, but it was after an election, and there were emotions. And we went to the next meeting, and the next meeting, and the next meeting after that, and continue to press through because we always saw the purpose as bigger than our personal selves and our personal feelings. And that's what's most important sitting at this table, is the mission at hand and what we're here to do. I'm extremely proud of Michelle and grateful that you sat with me and talked that day. And the team had recognized Michelle as its leader, and I just told her that. That's all I said. And I asked her to think about it, and she called me the next day and said, "Let's give it a go." And you've showed Orange Township, the county, and I would say the state, what you're capable of. You've done an extremely phenomenal job in this capacity. We're blessed to have you. It's the reason I can leave, knowing that I've never been one to stick around. Once I don't know why I'm motivated by challenges, but it's just how I'm wired. And when the time came for me to consider it, it wasn't as difficult of a decision in that regard. I didn't feel like I was leaving too much heavy lifting. I thought we built a great team here. We accomplished a lot. There was still work to be done, but the team was on the same page, and the team that you've established here, the culture that's been built in this townships, it's literally incredible. We were talking as a team the other day of the few folks that are still here, Nancy with us, and Brad and others that were around, and the team coming together the way you do, the way you've led the team, celebrating every small thing you can, and supporting each other. It's the most important thing. Everyone's going to have a dark day. Everyone's going to have a challenge, and if you haven't, it's coming. And so the way the team supports one another, they rally behind each other. It's phenomenal. We've got a fire department that's performing. We haven't had any issues in a long time. Small stuff, normal stuff. But Chief, you've done an absolutely outstanding job. I talked to some of your team, talked to Captain Miller this past weekend, and he thanked me for bringing you in, and said that what you've done for the department has been phenomenal. I would echo that. You're a great leader, phenomenal leader. I'm most proud of the vulnerability demonstrated by this leadership team. We had a fireman that committed suicide shortly before I started, and I made a promise that I would talk with the fire department and be vulnerable and work to advocate for that. So far, we've had 2 firemen go through Save a Warrior, and I hope the conversations I've had with them lead to more. We just went to the Phoenix Project. Our HR director attended that with me and heard some very moving testimony, and all the resources that are out there, the captains, chaplains, chiefs, battalion chiefs, representatives from all over the state who are coming to openly talk about the reality of the work that our first responders do. And it's just not normal work, and it's extremely challenging. And 90+% of those folks are starting from a place that's not good. They experience childhood trauma. That's just statistically the reality. 90+% of people that are in uniform had childhood trauma. And so they're compounding trauma with new. That's why they call it complex PTS, because it's not the first episode when they go and deal with car accidents and victims that are not things that anyone should have to deal with repeatedly. So the groundwork's here for us to support that. We have a budget for mental health that's critical. But most of all, it's leadership, support, and advocacy, and making sure they know that it's okay to be completely healthy, to be able to go home to their families and contribute and not have 3 jobs and stay distracted all the time. The quietness is when the challenges start, right? So I'm just so proud of the Orange Township team. Stopping into the township and seeing Taco Tuesdays, or the little bitty things, or the cakes and the guess what's in the boxes. The little bitty things matter. They add up to big things. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the township staff and the team. Val, I call Val the township culture champion, because if you ever walk in, let everybody see. Just turn around. Just look. Just that smile and just the way that she is, just who she is. It's you can't have a bad day. If you are having a bad day, just call Val. Come in, talk to Val, and everything does improve and get better. She's been a great asset to this team, a do-all, culture champion. I love that we have a handbook. We have values that we all helped contribute to and aspire to and sign off on, and we hold each other accountable to. And so the township's in a great spot. Everybody sitting here contributed to that. And I appreciate the collaboration and partnership and the way we challenge each other to be the best we can. So thank you all.
All right, my turn.
Oh, well,
Ben, it's been an honor to get to serve the residents of Orange Township with you. Your commitment to doing what is right, even when it's not the easiest path, is commendable. When you're reviewing a zoning application, you're able to look at a situation from all the angles and determine what you think's best for the overall township. Thank you for your tireless work on economic development efforts to put the township on a more stable footing with our TIF and our JED. You're passionate about mental health and have continued to keep that at the forefront of everyone's minds, as you just spoke about, especially for our firefighters. Thank you for being a champion for that very important cause. We'll do our best to continue that legacy. I pray that you and your family will have so much happiness together in Indiana, and I'll look forward to seeing how God calls you to serve your community there. We're going to miss you.
Thank you. And thank you for stepping up. You've done a great job, been a great asset and member of the team, and I'm super confident you all will find a good board member to work alongside and keep supporting each other. Really proud of this board.
I think Chief McNeil has
Oh,
some comments too.
oh, okay.
Well, Mr. Grumbles, from behalf of the fire department, wanted to thank you. Unfortunately, we had a class scheduled from 9 to 12 from external source, so we couldn't cancel. So that's where they are. They're in a class right now, so they did want to be here. But so we wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for us, coming by, talking mental health, being aware of that, and then just being supportive. And when I first came in, there was a lot of stuff on the table, a lot of I would say confusion between what had happened between previous regimes and things. And so I came in kind of blindly from the outside, not knowing. The nice thing right away was our military backgrounds. I was able to talk to you with military lingo and you understood. I found the first email I sent out where I had bluff and everybody's like, what the heck is bluff? And of course you knew what it was. So that helped me adapt a little bit to get from 22 years of military to come into the civilian sector and be able to still talk some lingo and have that relive those moments. But one thing I always admire about you and how you contributed with us was even when you didn't agree with something, you still listened, and as long as you had the facts, you'd make a decision off of that. And I don't think there's ever a time that you and I ever disagree. We sat down, we talked things out, got it situated, and we always move forward. So I'm really a good salesman, or we just meshed. But no, I think overall, that was one thing I really respected was show you the facts, and you looked at them, and even if at first you weren't on board, you'd soon sit there and realize, okay, yes, this is the right thing to do. Also bring up some different ideas. The boat, one of the things with the boat, you found the boat that we went and looked at, and we found out that a brand new one was just a little bit more. So now we have a boat out there for the community that we're getting ready to put in service. So we do appreciate the things that you've done and what you contributed to the department and being part here. So I do have a little presentation for you, so I'm going to grab it real quick. Hopefully it didn't run away.
I hope it's not like a guinea pig or something, or a dog, or I don't know. Oh, yes, this is great. I'm having trouble with my front door.
So one of the things we do in fire department is ask presentation. Usually they're gold, and this one's a little different. So this is actually off one of our first line trucks. So hey, we're about to buy our hats. Okay. But this is off first line trucks. So this has been in. You've always said during the trenches. We talked about the trenches. You like to be in the trenches too. So this was in the trenches. So this has been in many of our fires in the department. We did clean up a little bit of certain stuff, so it's not that bad. But we wanted to add. But we appreciate that more. Very sharp. So this is it's still sharp, so don't careful. And then also part of it is a presentation of what these acts is. So we have our shields, which is a big thing in the fire department. Orange on sheet, Trustee, red rebels, dates, and then rebels. We have this up here. Let's see what we have. And Orange Township Fire Department presents these acts taken out of frontline service on May 16th. Red rebels are dedicated service and support to the department. Thank you. Yeah, trying to make you cry.
Thank you so much, Chief.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This means a lot. And I'll stop out at the firehouse. I'm coming back. We're doing a fishing show on the 23rd. I'm filming that at Allen Creek, and you guys get to watch me on TV. So we get to see. I'll wear a hat so I don't blind you. I'll stop by the firehouse.
And if we could take a group photo before we get into the meeting.
Yeah,
sure.
that'd be great.
And then, Commissioner Lewis, would you mind being part of the photo op?
I want to tell you too that, Chief, you've done a lot. You made it sound like you sold me on all this stuff, but you didn't throw in there that what I told him when he started was that you need to bring data and a presentation. And so I walk into the firehouse and I go into the room, and there's this real nervous lieutenant with all these papers everywhere, and he says, "Okay, good afternoon, Trustee Grumbles." And it's like, "Okay, just relax. This is okay. Let's just talk here." But he had a formal presentation with spreadsheets out. It was a grade presentation on the cost benefit of, you'll never believe the topic, body armor. So it was an eye opener for me. First of all, to understand yet again the types of scenarios and situations that our first responders, even firemen and firewomen, firefighters, right, that they're navigating through day in and day out, and showing me where this ballistic armor goes on their truck, so that when they're on a call and they're jumping out of their truck, they can put ballistic armor on and make sure they go home at night to see their families, because of active shooter scenarios and the types of environments that we see in our modern day. So that was an easy one to get behind and support. But they had sourced multiple vendors and came up with the most economic opportunity for this township and ensure their safety, and getting people the right size equipment and things of that nature. So you've answered every request and responded to every request that I've made. You're spot on. That actually means more to me than you know, and the team knows. Please extend my gratitude, and I'll do that in person as well. But that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect, and I thank you for all you've done. Chief and I even got to go to Lowe's at one point as part of the community garden. I struck up a conversation with the general manager, and I said, I was walking through the fire department, and they had these old grills. And I wouldn't eat off of them. And I said, I'm thinking about these pellet grills. I have one, and maybe getting a couple of them for the fire department. I'm going to do a fundraiser. And he goes, "Well, yeah, just let me know, and I'll give you at cost. I'll give you these grills at cost." And so I set out to raise this money. And a couple of weeks later, I call him up and I say, "Hey, I've got some money. I want to buy these grills for the fire department. My money." And he says, I'll do you one better. After we spoke, I contacted Weber Grills, and they sent us 2 state-of-the-art grills for your fire department. Come pick them up. And this was a Columbus location. But this isn't unbelievable if you've ever worked with our firehouse. They respond so frequently to Columbus calls that they knew who they were. They even asked Chief to come do touch a truck. And Chief and I got to go down and pick up a couple of grills for the firehouse and deliver them, and get him a good culture win right out of the gate. So it's been an honor to work with you. Thank you. Photo time.
Staff. We do it in front of our.
Are we all good? I have enough people.
Oh, so you want to
All right, I guess we're going. Michelle, can someone take a
Yeah. And you, when you're done, mind you want to
This year?
Yeah.
Alright, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. One more.
Yes, I heard. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do we have any general announcements?
Well, we did have our shredded event on Friday and Saturday. That was actually pretty successful. I think we had about 80 vehicles.
Wow.
So even with the rain, I think it went pretty well. So it seems like it's something that our community likes. So we'll make sure we continue doing that in the future.
Awesome. 4th of July parade. We have 17
Ooh.
participants so far, so still looking for more. So yeah,
How can people sign up for that?
that's on the website. Yeah, registration forms on the website. Nonprofit, schools, businesses, yeah. Subdivisions, should you want to gather and make a float.
That would be fun to do a battle of the HOAs. We should market that. Battle of the HOAs.
We have notified the HOA contacts that we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of opportunities. So we're excited for that. Okay, agenda changes.
I have a few. There will be 2 consent items. One is for a fire blanket for machinery, equipment, and furniture. And then the second just came in, and let's take a copy. This is a change order for the Lewis Center Trail Phase 3 project that will be under consent for $35,000. And then I do want to add under old business towards the end to continue our fire levy discussion. And Ms. Kraft had to step out, but
Okay.
she should be back in a few minutes. What do you think this? Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do we have any questions on the consent agenda?
None.
I make a motion to approve resolution 23-144, approving the electronic record of the proceedings from the regular trustee meeting and zoning meeting hearing held on May 3rd, 2023.
Second?
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
Yes.
Trustee Grumbles?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve resolution 23-145, approving purchase orders, then and now purchase orders, and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Second.
Trustee Faust?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
Yes.
And Trustee Grumbles?
Yes.
Zoning report. Mr. Duffy.
Good morning, Board. We'll briefly go over the zoning hearings and meetings report. The majority of it, we have a busy Board of Zoning Appeals agenda for this Thursday, May 18th. We have one variance requested for an area variance for sign height for an Arby's located at 8673 Columbus Pike. We have an application for variance to allow for no fencing to enclose an already constructed swimming pool on Hillgale Court. We have another sign variance for sign height on a building at 850 Corduroy Road. We have a variance and conditional use to allow for a place of worship located at 350 East Orange Road. And then one variance for a pool to encroach into the rear yard setback on Narrowleaf Court. We do have two tabled applications, one of which is the Route 23 Corridor Overlay District application. I have no update on that. And one tabled application with the Board of Zoning Appeals for a place of worship on Vale Kenyon Road. It's also not part of the written staff report as we just received it on Friday, but we did receive a request for rezoning for property at 3773 East Powell Road. That zoning commission hearing will be held on June 13th.
That's that schoolhouse, that our house, schoolhouse.
What are they requesting?
They are requesting to allow and operate a distillery and tasting room.
Okay. Any questions on zoning stuff?
No.
Okay. Operations.
Thank you, Board. First thing on the operations report this morning is something probably a little bit new for us, but I want to take advantage of the National Public Works Week that's approaching next week to take advantage of the opportunity to recognize not just our staff, but our relationships with some of our community partners. National Public Works Week recognizes from the top down, first responders to your water, your sanitary, your sewer, your roads, all the people who kind of make things go, sometimes behind the scenes, sometimes in the forefront. And as a township, we're obviously in a unique spot where we do have our own fire department, and we do rely on the county for some things, but we also have a great staff between our parks maintenance and facilities team as well as our public works department. So I do want to take advantage of the opportunity to utilize National Public Works Week to recognize those great people that we have within our township and some of our partners outside as well. The second thing on operations today is an agreement to add foot golf to our existing partially complete disc golf course here at Township Hall Park. We have a community member who passionate about foot golf, wanted to introduce it to the community at no cost to the township. Just another recreational amenity that is an opportunity for the entire community to get out and utilize this unique feature. They're not very common at this point in time. I know there's a couple other that's popped up here in Central Ohio within the last few weeks, but we'll be among the first to have them. And again, just another recreational opportunity, that low impact and no cost to the township that I'd like the board's approval to recommend, or I'd like to recommend approval of entering into the contract. And the other thing on today's agenda is, after a lot of work by a lot of people, some of which are in the audience today, would like to formally request approval from the board for the Orange Township Veterans Memorial Project. My understanding is this project dates back quite a few years, probably almost a decade at this point. Rob, is that roughly accurate? Roughly accurate, about a decade in the works, and a lot of hurdles, a lot of obstacles, a lot of different hands and ideas and thoughts coming together. Our Veterans Memorial Committee of Cindy Bardash, Chrissy Hagan, Rob Quigley, Trustee Grumbles, and Fiscal Officer Lisa Kraft have been tremendous support and tremendous voice in pulling this project together. I'd also be amiss if I didn't mention the state of Ohio's generous grant, as well as multiple donors, some anonymous, some known, that helped push this project to the finish line. So in your materials board, there is construction documents and a plan in place recommended by the Veterans Memorial Committee to move forward with the Veterans Memorial Project. This approval would allow us to advertise for bids and begin the process of nailing down a contractor and a timeline to produce this great project and this great tribute to current and past veterans of the country.
Absolutely beautiful, too.
Yeah. I got to look at the drawings and super excited about this finally coming to fruition. Rob, thank you for all your work over the years starting things, and Ben and Lisa had to step out, but and your team for making
Silas
it
has been a big part of that too.
Yeah.
He understates it, but he drives it day to day and stays after getting the drawings and the bids done and pushing them to be frugal and conservative with their estimates, and so, and great.
Yeah, it has been exactly a decade since it started, so I'm very happy that.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah,
We're
it's
here.
great.
Super excited. Foot golf, what kind of ball do I need to play foot golf?
Just a plain old soccer ball of your choosing. Yep, very very simple, minimal equipment, minimal impact. It should be a nice little easy amenity to add to the park.
Is it true that the advocate for foot golf is Thomas East? That's what I've heard.
Really?
It's Tom. Tom
I
lives
believe that's
directly
not-
across the court on the east side from Tom West.
That was Tom North.
It's a
We're
funny
excited
joke.
to be able to provide two different opportunities for with one basic thing, two different games. So this is exciting. Yeah.
And obviously, the final thing was the agenda change as well for the Lewis Center Trail Phase 3. We had a cost adjustment for a change order on that one as well. That was not covered with the contingency, so I need board approval for that as well, so we can keep that project moving.
I wouldn't miss your jokes, but.
They're great. I think it's funny.
Next trustee has to have a sense of humor. Okay. Any operations questions? Okay. And make a motion to approve resolution 23-146, authorizing the director of operations to enter into a lease agreement with Dual Sport Play LLC.
Second?
Trustee Fouls?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
Yes.
Trustee Grumbles?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve resolution 23-147, approve design and authorize bid advertisement for the Orange Township Veterans Memorial Project.
Second.
Trustee Fouls?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
Yes.
And Trustee Grumbles?
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you, board, and also thanks to Rob and to Cindy, who are both here today, for their support and work to get this memorial where it is. Obviously, with Trustee Grumbles and Trustee Kraft as well. It's a real exciting time for the township, and even more exciting to see this move forward and be constructed at the corner out here. So thank you all.
For the Public Works Week, Sydney, are you going to take pictures of people and blast Facebook? Awesome. Thanks.
And just to add, so people can purchase bricks now, correct? And they can be any, they don't need to be veterans that are related to, can they be any veterans?
Yeah.
Right?
Correct. Any veteran, there's no residency requirement, anything like that. There's a couple examples of the bricks here that we had that were samples provided to us by the company we're using to sell them. Those are on sale now. We've been on sale for a couple weeks now. There's been a steady flow of people buying them. But yeah, anything we can do to help get the word out about the bricks. Our plan initially is to install them twice a year, right before Memorial Day and right before Veterans Day. So it'll be a wide window for the foreseeable future to sell bricks and have them installed.
And that's available on our website, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We might want to think about putting signage up at the site too, and just say future site of the Veterans Memorial. Contact the township, or put the website or something so that
Yeah,
Yeah, I suspect once we
buy a brick at the website.
I suspect once we get closer to awarding a contractor and getting an actual schedule kind of hammered out here, depending on supplies and materials, I think that'd probably be a great step for the groundbreaking, is to get some signage up and kind of push all that
Market it
together
a
at the same
little bit,
time.
yeah.
Are you going to come back to the groundbreaking?
I am.
Good. Okay. Anything else? Operations? Okay. Anything fire, chief? Do you know when the boat's going in? I'm sure you do.
We're hoping to get it in before Memorial Day. They've been training on it, so we still have the old boats in service right now until we get enough people properly trained and ready to. So as soon as we do, we will let you know. We've been working with the Saddle Association, talked to them about getting it in the water, and then also doing a ceremony there. So it's within hopefully the next 2 weeks. Even if we put in the water before, like I said, the plan is Memorial Day, but to get the striping that we need to get and some of the lettering on it, we're trying to get it into a place to get it done. So that might be after Memorial Day. So, but once we have everything on and also the name of the boat on it, then we'll have a ceremony. So
My family bought kayaks last night, so I was, we're getting a boat permanent so we can have kayaks. So that's okay. Okay. Do you know if we have anything fiscal?
There's nothing under the fiscal office report.
Okay.
And I just have a few items under administration.
Yep.
So since we had to reschedule the second meeting in April, or second regular meeting, I just want to acknowledge the birthdays and anniversaries for both April and May. So I will run through these quickly. Trustee Lisa Knapp, her birthday was April 5th. Trustee Erica Faust, her birthday was April 6th. Captain Adam Miller, April 6th. Firefighter Marcus Sprout, April 6th. Firefighter Brian Pose, April 9th. Firefighter Anthony Grubb, April 10th. And firefighter Philip Couch, April 24th for birthdays. Anniversaries, Chief Nathan McNeil, 2 years on April 5th, going strong. Fiscal Officer Lisa Kraft hit her 3 years on April 1st. Public Works, David Gilson, 6 years on April 17th. Firefighter Forrest Dill, 6 years on April 27th. Firefighter Adam Eisen, 7 years on April 13th. Firefighter Jonathan Hiley, 7 years on April 27th. Firefighter Michael Kemmerling, 8 years on April 15th. Firefighter Matt Kokis, 8 years on April 15th. And firefighter Stephen Baker, 14 years on April 8th. I'm going to go through May now. Birthdays, firefighter Robert Searles, May 1st. Firefighter Hunter Gray, May 4th. Firefighter David Jones, May 4th. Firefighter Kurt Gilson, May 6th. Firefighter Rocky Booth, May 9th. And let's see, and then anniversaries, we have Silas Bowers, 2 years on May 7th. Congrats. Mike Kelly, 7 years on May 16th. And Parks Richard Spellman, 7 years on May 16th. Firefighter Bradley Belleville, 14 years on May 6th. Firefighter Philip Couch, 19 years on May 12th. Firefighter Robert Hager, 22 years on May 1st. And firefighter Lieutenant Keith Myers, 25 years on May 18th. That is all of those. And then the other item I have under the administrative report is just to formalize regretfully accepting Trustee Ben Grumble's resignation.
Let's do it.
Okay. I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-148 to regretfully accept resignation of Orange Township Trustee Ben Grumbles.
Second.
That was pretty quick second.
She's real fast.
Hurry up. Well, I was going to refuse the second, but I realized it was a moot point. So.
Trustee Fells?
Yes.
Trustee Knapp?
Yes.
Trustee Grumbles?
Yes.
Okay. Old business, we need to discuss the fire levy, but we need Fiscal Officer Kraft to come back. So why don't we recess?
Sure.
Okay. Until she comes back.
That's
That's the last thing on the agenda. Unless somebody has anything else they'd like to say. You need to sing, dance, put on a show.
So a 5-minute recess or something?
I regretfully accepted my own resignation. I don't have anything else to
Right,
say.
you're done. We'll just pause till she gets back.
It's a fact.
have one. We had extra time.
Okay, I'm actually going to read the National Public Works Week proclamation so we all know what it is. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructures, facilities, emergency management, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Orange Township. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are federally mandated first responders and the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens and civic leaders in Orange Township to gain knowledge and maintain ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works first responders and public works programs and projects in the respective communities, and whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it now resolved that the Orange Township Board of Trustees do hereby designate the week of May 22nd through 26, 2023 as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life.
Second?
We want to, I don't think we need a vote on
Oh,
that.
we're not.
Oh, okay, I'm just making it.
Just
Okay.
Just a proclamation.
I'm sorry, it looked like on the template it was going to be a vote, but we're just reading that. So.
Okay. Thank you to everybody who works on our public works department, firefighters and first responders. You make us safe and look good, and we appreciate you. Okay, so now we're going to chat about the fire levy.
Yeah, Michelle and I are going to switch places so I can drive.
Okay.
We do have physical copies.
Yeah, we grabbed them.
Move
Thank
whatever
you.
you have to over there.
Now, the millage and it's going to be based on our existing tax base, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that email that I had sent. I had asked the auditor's office if the update they're doing right now, the triennial update, would be done in time for when we have to do our resolutions, and they indicated they would not. So basically, if something were to go on the ballot, it would immediately have, a lower effective rate. It would still collect the same amount of money, but the effective rate would change once the new property rates were implemented.
So I just want to make sure everybody understands. So what you're saying is that the ballot amount would be based on a dollar figure.
Yes,
And
exactly.
since the property values would appreciate, the respective millage or proportion of the property value would be lower. So today it might take 7 mills to get us to a certain dollar threshold. After the property assessment, it might only take 6.
Exactly.
Okay, so just so everyone's clear listening in, or whoever might watch this, I like to take our time with this because it can be very confusing.
Mm-hmm. It can be.
Yeah, so next year when the rest of our property taxes go up, this will not go up.
Right, it'll go down effectively as a proportion of your property.
It will still collect the same amount of money.
Right.
So if your house was collecting 5 mil, let's just make it up, 5 mils at $100,000, and now your property goes up to $200,000, you still
2.5.
pay 5 mils on $100,000.
2.5 mils overall of your property value at that point. And the other part about that's really important to understand is as our tax base grows, everybody's proportion shrinks because they don't change and update the dollar figure.
Right.
So as the second ATS building goes up and they start paying property taxes on the full economic value of that, taxable value of that, or the rest of the BJ's goes in, the rest of the neighborhoods are built that have been approved, et cetera, that will continue to expand and diversify our tax base and dilute each person's respective share. And really, that's what we're seeing kind of happen right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, remember that with that new development and with that new growth comes requirements for additional services, right?
Correct.
So you need the bigger ladder truck because you've got a taller apartment building and the expenses that come with that.
Right.
You need more parks, you have more people using your parks and more wear and tear, more fertilizer and grass seed or whatever that comes back.
And what I've always said is that if you look at our services that are supported by millage, the township, et cetera, typically you can grow and to a certain threshold. So you have where you're staffed at today will support 25,000 residents to 30,000 residents. But as soon as you get to 30,100, it starts to really create challenges. So you usually have a gap, like a window. But with some services, it's more challenging to grow and maintain at a set, where you're capped. So if you lock in at $10 million a year in revenue, and we continue to grow, it's not realistic for the fire department. So emergency services are one of the few, I think, that grow really proportionate to everything else. So if you look at, it's unfortunate how they do it. If they locked in the millage, I think it would be more effective because as you grow, it would provide more funding instead of lowering everybody's respective share just for emergency services. So as you build more homes and you build more businesses, it's like saying, well, if you think about what you're doing, you're stretching your safety services thinner each time you do that with the same resources. So other things you can get by. Roads is one that I would say is probably somewhere close, not as close, but it starts to get there.
Okay, well, if you guys want me just to hit the highlights on this worksheet?
Please.
Okay, so what we put together here is we are starting right now at 0 mil. So that means we do nothing. If we do nothing, then you'll see down here in row 18, column K here, that we will not have enough money at the end of 24 to pay for the first quarter of 25.
So the physical copy you have is just our current conditions. So you'll be able to see that.
So we're basically, we would be $685,000 short at the end of 24 to cover 25. And let's just remember, I hate to be that person, but we went through the time, I know Mrs. Faust and Ms. Knapp, you weren't here when the treasurer's office delayed payments during COVID. So property tax payments were delayed, which means we were delayed receiving our money. So I'm assuming that we're going to be receiving our money by the end of the first quarter-ish. First quarter to sometime between March and April. So just keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, I did do some adjustments here to the chief's numbers. Sorry, chief, because he isn't fully staffed right now. I did adjust down his salary numbers to kind of how they're trending right now based on him not being fully staffed. So that is accounted for right here. We assumed a 2% increase in salaries and benefits, whether that's too aggressive, too conservative. We needed to do something because the contract will be up next year and nothing's been negotiated for 24 forward. So I figured at a minimum we need to plan for 2%. Then the capital purchases, I was talking to the chief about this morning. What this does not include is things for 362 needs a new roof, right?
Yes, ma'am. It needs a new roof. It's also it's a 1980 building that was never meant to be a fire station. So there's a lot of things internally. Maintenance, they do their best to keep up with it, but for people to live in 24 hours a day, it's past its time. So we definitely have to look at. I know it's been remodeled 3 or 4 times. We have to look at a new facility that's going to, a 50-year facility that's going to get us through because we're not going to get smaller around here, so we definitely need to keep that station. So.
Yep. So that does not include a new roof. It's going to be probably $400,000 if it's like what 361 cost. So new roof, we're going to need building improvements, things like this. This is really just the payment on the ladder truck and any other big ladder things. Medics are coming out of our EMS billing, so you won't see purchasing medics in the capital, but this is for really just payments on the ladder truck we just ordered last year, as well as when he knows he needs new equipment like that, which really looks like just minor things. So we're not really including in this number those other extra or contingency items. So just keep that in mind also as you look at these numbers. Okay, so they're probably on the low side. So that $685,000 is probably closer to, you know, $900 or $1 million that we would be short at the end of 24. Okay, I mean, I can put whatever number you want in here, and we can see what things look like. But I know we had been talking about 2 mills. So when I put 2 mills in here, you'll see what happens. You follow along on the screen here. What it does, we kind of skip the forecast if we do not add levies. Just ignore that part, and we come down here to the new forecast, which is forecast if new levy is added. So we add at 2 mills based on the current tax base of 1.6 billion and change. We would be generating $3.2 million additional revenue each year, which would give us an ending fund balance of $6.4 million, and we would be able to cover the shortfall. We are the carryover. We don't start with the additional revenue on a $2 million or 2 mills levy. Basically, what that gives you in income is the 9.3 million plus the 3.2 million, so it gives you about 12.5 million a year. So we don't hit about 12.5 million a year in expenses until 2028. So that's when we'd start to burn off that surplus created from a 2 mills. So that gives us some breathing room. It also gives us, that's assuming we don't have anything major capital. That assumes we're not going to replace the roof. It assumes we're not going to do these building fixes. It's not really enhancements. It's really fixes to 362. And 361 is also a 20-year-old building now, so let's not forget that. I think we've got some concrete issues that are going to be coming up that we have to address. That's not going to be cheap. So those are things that we have to keep in mind. So Adam, you know, the best case scenario with 2 mills, it gets you till about 2027 to 28 until you start burning through what you're accumulating right now.
So what I'm seeing is this is a must.
Unless you want to start taking from general, unless you want to start taking from general fund beginning, from 2025, it's a competitive market right now for firefighters. I don't think we want to get in the game of. I personally wouldn't want to see us get in the game of laying off firefighters till we do this, and then 3 months later try to hire them back. That would not be a good scenario.
If you look, the challenge too, and this got me when I first started too, was understanding the shift dynamic. It's critical because when you see a picture, with that many people on it, you think, oh, they're fine. Then you realize how many pieces of equipment they're running from 2 locations, and that there's a third of those people on at any given time. And oh, by the way, they are, families and have time off and have benefits and everything else. So it becomes very challenging in a community of this size with the number of call. I don't think people realize unless they're out on 23 during the day, and some of the areas that are congested and how frequently you're getting calls due to severe accidents and things of that nature. But as conservative of an approach as possible to meet the baseline requirements, I think if we look at the JED that we have, what it is today is not what's important. I think it's projected 100, 150,000 a year or something with the 3 businesses. The beauty of the JED right now is the ability to expand it rapidly with the JED board. So if we want to think about the burdens in the township, the places where our services are being utilized the most, the sheriff will tell you Walmart is like one of the hot spots in the whole county. So right away, that would be a target to drag into the JED, okay? Then you think about how much taxable income's coming through there from the business and the people working there, when I think the figure was like 80+% of the folks working in Delaware County, in southern Delaware County, don't live there. So they're paying tax somewhere else that they're generating the revenue for here. So it would allow us to keep that here. Then you look at the big boxes, Menards, even ATS in the back. high-paying jobs, big businesses that are good community partners. Most of these places will be able to net neutral their business tax, and the employees will get to pay their tax where they work instead of where they live. So that's how you can quickly go from 100 to 150 to $500,000 plus. And it's if anybody wants to look at the example that's out there, Liberty Township in Butler County, down near Cincinnati, has a extremely successful JED. They are not an Orange Township. They just got in early and built their JED out, and it's they sent it to me when I first started. Millions of dollars a year. They fund everything through that JED. They have road work, safety services. They fund their police department. Millions and millions of dollars a year. And if you contact their administrator, they'll send you all the documents. I actually have them in my email account, so you can request those as a public record if you want. It's unbelievable. And Michelle, I think I sent them to you at one point, so you would have them. And they're like a case study in effective JEDs. So I won't be here, obviously, as of 11:59:39 tonight. So, if you start drawing a blank or you want to see an example, you can contact. There's people out there that can help us be successful with that JED. If you go 2 mills or however conservative this board decides to go, and you supplement that with this JED and you actually activate that and get aggressive with it. There's other tools, NCAs and things like that, but JEDs allow the township to maintain a say in what's happening in their community, whereas others kind of subvert that off to a board. So it's almost a community within a community, right? And so the board and the voice of the people may not be as significant as with the JED. So that's why JEDs are good.
But don't many of those people get credits from their community that they actually
Correct.
live in?
So we'll collect the tax here, and then RETA, the Regional Income Tax Authority, will say, there's a ranking process, so they'll balance it out. So in other words, the employees aren't overtaxed.
Yeah, but in some places it looks like we would get nothing because
They take it all.
they take it all. And it actually, like if you live in, city of Columbus and you're paying them where you work, then I think it's almost a 100% credit.
I don't think that they get all the credit.
I think,
You do?
I
You think
really
so?
do, yeah.
We can check on
Yeah.
that. I mean, Rita would be able to opine on that probably better than anyone. I know when I've worked in Columbus and paid taxes that it was never 100%. There was always I would pay some to one entity and the other, and then Rita would send me like a statement of account. Like I had to file taxes with them, and they would tell me they did all the balance work between the two entities.
Well, it's usually like a city like Powell, if they have like a 1.5% income tax, and then
We have a 3 or whatever. then you
yeah,
get the
or
1.5
Columbus
and 1.5.
has like a 2, and then but they give a partial credit. But I don't know how it works in townships, but I feel like the majority of people that live here don't, live and work here, and so a
Yeah.
lot of that money is
It's going back.
But
I think we will get some of it. I know
Yeah,
that.
some-
I know we'll get
some.
the business part too. So that's
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
that's
So that's the big ticket. Especially when you look at Walmart or what they're generating there.
I think the Sheets was estimated at like 16,000 a year. It was pretty small.
Yeah.
Better than nothing, I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, well,
But one of them was bigger because it got over 100. So BJ's probably with all the people and the income that they're generating there. I can't imagine what Walmart would be.
but because of the credits that
Yeah.
everyone gets.
But just the
don't-
business
the
itself.
cities, yeah, the business, yeah, that's true.
So are there any questions that I can answer on the numbers? I'm just here to.
Well, so I do agree that we're definitely gonna run out of money, and I know we need I would say 2%. I would propose that we do a 2-year at 2%.
2 millage.
Or 2 mil, 2 mil for 2 years. And that way we'll catch up when we have to put the fire levy on the ballot next year.
Do
Then-
one levy.
Yeah, then we can have
So
two
what are you
levies.
gonna do then? Because you don't want to lose the rollback that's on the existing fire levy.
Yeah.
So, and
Which is over, like, what, 1.12?
yeah, 12.5%.
But it's like 1.2 million. Now, we don't want to lose
Yeah,
that,
no, so
right?
it'll be annual additional.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's the way you want to go.
That's what I was thinking. That way it can all be on the ballot because, yeah,
And
our
then we
pro,
just have one, so it's not.
yeah, it's not, I find that it's very confusing for the public when they're like, oh, this is great. If it's 5 years and then in a couple more years, oh, we're asking for another, or next year, we're asking for another levy. And they're like, didn't we just vote on this 5 mils? We're going to vote that one down. So that's what is it a 7 mil? What's the current?
That one's a 7.
7.
And so the
Yeah,
effective
left
is
is 5.3.
Yeah. Yeah, so next year it's on the ballot and they're like, wait, didn't we just vote for 5 mil? And I think we run the risk of that one failing then.
But if that one fails, it fails with the addition. So that's the risk you're running. So you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket at that point. I would also, at that point, the
I don't think
new home values will be out. So people will be in sticker shock from that. So that's another concern, going just 2 years. I mean, I'm just speaking as a resident,
Well, I think that holds us
So-
accountable though. If we put a 5-year, it's like the school levies. If we put a 5-year on, I think it holds us more accountable if we put a 2-year on because we'll have to show the spreadsheet all over again. We'll be done with all the union negotiations, hopefully by that point. And then I think it's a good idea to have them both on the same ballot and just ask for exactly what we need right now to get us through. And then if the public says, well, we don't want to pass this next year and we want to shut down the second station, I mean, I can't imagine them doing that, that's their decision. But I think it's 5 years I just think it convolutes the process and the perception. But I do agree that we do need it. And as we know, our property taxes our valuations are expected to go up by maybe over 30%. So when I did the calculation on my personal property, and it actually showed 38% increase in property tax, which can be like $300 or $400 a month, effective next year. But I contacted George Kites, the auditor, and he said he's going to put a special note saying that this doesn't apply to next year on his website. But unfortunately, we won't know the tax rates until the end of this year. So, I mean, I don't know anyone that's got a 30%, tax or an increase in their salary. I think there's a lot of people that can afford more taxes, but it's really getting out of control.
Yeah, don't disagree with that at all, trust me. But just remember that whatever we put in that resolution to proceed, I mean, I have it right here from the previous election. I just had Leanne pull it just so we can be clear on how it will collect. So it very clearly states that you're going to do, your amount that you're going to do the levy for, and then, hold on, let me get, and then it tells you exactly what it would collect. Like, our current levy collects 8.797215. So that's what it collects. Now, it might collect more than that, and that's because of new builds that come in, and it takes a year for those to cycle back in and bring the effective rate back down. So that levy will collect. So if we say we put 2 million mills on, it doesn't matter that your house is going from $500,000 to $700,000. You're still only going, that is going to collect 3.2 mil across the tax base.
But
It's confusing for a lot of people.
Yeah,
so
that won't
that's why I wanted to
increase. I checked
that
it. It will not increase the amount when the property tax valuations go up. But typically, I think last time my property taxes went up by 17%. When we had it in 2020. So.
And that's another good reason to do it now because we lock in that $3.2 million. We're saying 3.2. We're not, when the property values increase and if we decide then to put a 2 mils on, it would be on because it would be on the new, because it's it's not or an addition, it would be on the new tax rates. So it would actually collect more than $3.2 million.
So could we actually reduce the millage then at that point?
Let's say, let me just do quick math.
This one more to not.
But if this one passes, and then we would be putting another one on next year, effective in 2025, but could that be a reduced millage? It would be less than 2 mils and still generate.
If I do what?
If next fall we're planning to put another fire levy on the ballot to replace the current one.
Replace the original.
Yeah. So if next year we put that plus this new levy on, could we actually, it's possible we could reduce the millage because of the
I mean,
valuation.
if you still wanted to collect 3.2, you would be reducing the millage.
Yeah, so that might even look better in a way. if it's
Because you gotta
1.8
figure
or something.
1.6 $1.6 billion in valuation, that's going up 3% or 30%, let's just conservatively say
At
30%. So that's 160 million, so it's a $480 million that's going up. Math in my head, I'm not sure I got that right.
Yeah,
So-
so we might actually be able to ask for less. Not necessarily
If you still
$2,
wanted to
yeah.
collect that, but I mean, like I said, I think the challenge we're going to face is you're gonna have a school levy in 25, probably, which means they start advertising at 24. So that gets in people's brains, and then you also will have these new property values. So those are the things that I just, I would
But we're gonna
consider.
struggle with that next year if we put the 7 mil levy on the ballot again. The renewal. Right, next year, the renewal for 7 mils.
That will be on the ballot again next year. I'm just looking at.
I think that's gonna be the hard one, but I just think having them aligned together is just easier for people to understand. We are operating off of this for how many years, the 7 mil, 10 years?
2012 was when it was passed.
Or 2013, it was February of 13. Because we didn't have any, because it failed and.
So it failed,
Yeah.
yeah, because they tried to do a decrease, kind of what you guys are talking about right now, and then it failed.
Yeah, we was at
going up
5
again,
mils and they
so-
went 7.9, and that was such a big increase, and they failed it, and so we had no revenue at all in 2013. None, zero. It was awful. But I think we had to borrow money and pay it back. But so the fact that we operated for this long on that millage is great. I mean, I think the reason we need this is because, well, as you outlined, several reasons, but I think it looks great that we've been able to survive for 10 years on the same millage, but I just feel like aligning everything together would be easier for the public to understand.
I just want to remind you too that, we talked about the building 361, just gonna need that stuff, but we're also operating pretty much the same amount of staffing with, and almost double the size of population. And, 362 is not fully staffed all times. Sometimes there's 3 firefighters covering 4
6,
trucks.
yeah.
So that means that a lot of times there is not a truck in service on that side of the tracks. So we do need to look at trying to increase some of our staffing to be able to make sure that we have a fully staffed truck for the people on this side of the track.
Yeah, so
I've got some good news here too. I just wanted to check City of Columbus's website. So the point where the income is generated has first dibs. City gets
You're talking about
You're back.
yeah, the residency component is the last priority. So,
so wait, what is this?
if you work in a city that has one, local tax rate and reside in a city that has a tax rate, your local taxes due first to the city entity in which the income was actually earned. You may have an obligation to your city of residence. So if Columbus has a 3% and we collect at 2.5%, they'll owe Columbus 0.5. They'll owe them that 0.5% difference.
What if they live in there?
If they live and work there, then they get the whole kit and caboodle. But if they live there and work here, then we get, correct, we get all of ours. Correct.
Okay, good. That's good.
So that's where we can start to make, and you think of a convenience store, gas station, there are 4 or 5 people.
So they live in Columbus and work here.
We get first,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So
Okay.
we got to go after the big employers that are making money and drawing our emergency services most frequently, et cetera, drawing the traffic, using our roads the most frequently, engaging in commerce and things like that. This is where, when people talk about how to make businesses pay their fair share, it's truly, for a township, the only way. The only way. There's no other way to do it.
I could just confirm my math. It would be about $2 billion in taxable value if everything increased 30%.
So
That's
next,
2.1 billion.
so next year, we could put maybe a 2 mil issue on the ballot, and it might actually generate more money,
It would generate 4.2 million.
which would,
Mhm.
yeah, which would actually then give us more money for the fire station. So I'm not sure when the new valuations are coming out, but I believe they'll probably come out in the fall, I think. So when people are going to the ballot box in November and then they're seeing a 5-year levy, I think that it's going to be fresh in their minds that they just got a massive property tax, and they won't have time to figure out what that actually means for them. They might just vote no.
There
'Cause
is
right
new
now,
ballot language. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how the ballot language reads, but when it goes on the ballot this year, there will be differences in how it states. I think we actually have to talk, it actually states the effective rate.
Open houses, communication, we're gonna have to really educate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
because
be-
Either way.
it's gonna change how it appears when they see it on the ballot.
But yeah, and right now it's May, but it will be November then, and that's when all the new valuations are gonna come out, I think.
Right.
You're right, and then people
So
are
they're
gonna
gonna go, oh crap, yeah, that's
I'm gonna
true.
write this down, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, that's a very good point, Trustee Knapp. You're gonna have to be very good about educating them on this value is locked in at our current, based on our current home value. It won't increase it past when your new value comes out type thing.
Yeah, but also, I feel like having just a 2-year is asking for exactly what we need for now to get us through, and then hopefully by that time, things will kind of settle
The
down.
message is certainly better that way. I think because you're telling them that you're taking what you need, then you need to see what happens with our economic development tools.
Exactly.
Take a deep breath.
And what happens with the economy and jobs
Correct.
and inflation, I mean, I feel like everything's just up in
If
the
we
air
lock in
now.
for too long right now, I mean, if Brandon gets round 2, God forbid, and inflation stays where it's at, then sorry, I shouldn't talk politics. It doesn't matter who's in office. If inflation stays where it's at, we're in trouble, right? And so if you lock in for more than 2, we have to go back and ask for more because we undershot. That's a fair point.
Yeah, and then I feel like we're being responsible and asking for just what we need. Because I think a lot of people that live in the township are that way. They're asking, they're having economic
Yeah.
issues, some of them, and they're, hey, we gotta do this to get through this tough time versus I'm gonna ask for more than
I do think if we go that path, though, it's critical, especially to the fire department too, that we're communicating that we're asking for just what we need for now, and that we have another conversation that's forthcoming in 2 years that we have to do
next year.
or next year. But yeah, to prepare for 2 years out.
So we almost need to talk about both.
Yeah,
As-
I agree. One
We're
package.
not going to endorse.
But, yeah.
As our firefighters are not going to endorse off duty, like this is just what we need for now, and we're going to, wrap
Open
it
houses.
all in one giant package.
And I think people understand a 2 mil levy. It's so small. 1.9. I think people understand that. I think people get it. It's so small.
I think you will too. I can see the argument both sides too of us going year after year and going, you just gave us X, now we want Y.
I'd rather not
But we'll have
do
to ask
that.
for 7 next year anyway.
Yeah.
We're still gonna have to, and I think if they're like, well, we passed this 5 mil levy, now why are we doing this 7 mil? Or 5-year levy for 2 mils, I think,
Yeah.
just from what I know about and it's overwhelming. When you look at the ballot, the average person is overwhelmed by the ballot.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, even,
I don't think it matters which path you go from a difficulty standpoint, or people are going to see it and they're going to. They always think the same thing,
How does it affect my
and
pocketbook?
yeah,
Right.
and one thing we can't lose sight of is explaining what's going on in the causal factors, the salary, and the
Just the cost of the medicines,
inflation,
fuel equipment,
the vehicles
utilities.
I mean, when we were
Right,
going
all
to the new
of it,
vehicle,
not
every
like
2
30%.
weeks they were sending us a change order because we were waiting to solidify the bid and it was going up that rapidly. And understanding as a community that, Chief, one thing to think about here too is when you talk about utility, looking at how many times you're understaffed and can't run a truck. How many times, it's more than, when I heard the numbers, I remember going like, holy cow, we've got this equipment, we're not even running it, we're having to Delaware County, a lot of people probably don't understand how they're doing it. I went up to the 911 center, I'd recommend that everyone do that. But when they're coordinating between multiple jurisdictions and departments, they have to call in every day that they're there and say, hey, 911, medic 361 can't run today because we're short staffed. Medic 362's got a flat tire, or the truck's broken and in service again, or engine, whatever. And so they literally are managing all the resources at the county or the respondent level. And one of the first things they said to me, the director, Patrick Brand, he says, you guys are down a lot. You were 361, I believe.
362.
362. Yeah, and it was
usually,
like at that time, it was, you've got a vehicle that's down an awful lot. What's going on? Because the 911 center is getting that message more frequently, and it's just and then you see a picture of the number of people, and unless you understand that, it's a lot of education, a lot of communication with the community and constituents to paint a picture of reality. We're not going to change the way the fire departments run their shifts. It's all over the country. We're not going to recreate that wheel. It's designed that way, and we're in a union environment, and if residents had to choose, I am confident what choice they would make. The fire department going door to door, the one thing you'll hear anyone who's interacted with them say, nothing but positive things.
Right.
So they have to understand we've been living on this budget for 10 years, but we haven't asked for anything.
Our resident base has
inflation,
7,000 residents.
Yeah, I
in that
mean,
time.
inflation has pushed us to the point where it's not sustainable. And also the importance on having an adequately staffed fire department. It's not just about running all of your equipment. It's also about not running the team members that are there ragged and dry. I mean, you talk about having to pull in overtime. Well, overtime's hierarchical. So the people that get first dibs are typically the highest ranking. So imagine, if you will, that you've trained with your shift. Everybody's got their job down. You're all on the same apparatus. Everyone knows, where they need to be when a call comes out. And, Joe firefighter calls off and somebody picks up overtime from another shift and it's a lieutenant or a captain. Well, they're not going to come in and work the pump. They're going to be a captain or a lieutenant. So you've just shuffled everybody to different roles and responsibilities. And now you get a call that comes out. And you start to hear this story, and you hear about the Charleston 9, or you hear about, areas where that dynamic has happened before, and it's been a not positive outcome. And they train for that now, right? To some extent. But from a culture standpoint and a performance standpoint, it is less than ideal by far. So properly staffed fire department that's able to do their job at full capacity, healthy, there when they need to be, not there resetting when they don't need to be. That's going to put our community in the safest position. Just my opinion.
Okay, so are we good at 2 for 2 years?
I'm not going to have a super strong opinion just since I'm here, other than to say we have to do something.
And just understanding we'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to start working on the language for the resolution, so they just have to be passed by July.
Okay.
So that gives me time to get it down with the Board of Elections.
So this is just a general consensus right here, and then
You may want to do a poll too and talk to the constituent, the people, and find out if they would rather have one now and one later, or what they would want to do. Maybe they surprise you and tell you that they would just rather get it over with. Who knows?
Everyone is always confused by ballot.
Yep.
Everyone.
So you got to have open houses.
But even then, that if people go to open houses and take the time to do that, but then most people, 99% of people don't do that. They just come to the ballot, they look at it, they just receive their new valuation, they just vote no.
The one thing I'll tell you too is if we're going to do this, I would highly recommend advocates in building a committee.
so we've got our public safety committee, and then our firefighters are able to go around off duty.
But I would get volunteers in addition to that. And one person that I would highly recommend you consult is Julie Fiesel. And the reason is she's who educated me on levies when the school stuff was going on. She is a treasure trove of information. She's not on the board, but she commands respect in the community. And if anyone can...
Is she a resident?
Yes, she lives...
Everybody behind
Yes.
Oak Creek.
Okay, cool.
So...
But I think 2 mils is not going to be the hardest sell for 2 years. For 2 mils,
No.
it's not gonna be-
But I mean, if you need help explaining levies and somebody that people will listen to and that's done that conversation dozens of times,
I can call
reach
you.
out to her and see if she'll step up and help. I'm sure she will.
But
She's
it's pretty easy to explain that costs have gone up. We've had the same
right.
budget for 10 years. Costs have gone up, and if we,
But she can, the
Yeah.
questions that you're talking about are critical, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, what about this year coming up? And then what happens when this happens? And having more people that can answer those questions is,
but I think it's relatively, I mean, do people want to have fire service on, or not? I mean,
Yes.
do they want
Yes,
people
they do.
coming
Right.
or not? So
When you're
I-
sick, you want to be able to call or
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah, we'd have to lay people off, correct?
pay attention next November if you don't like it. I mean, really, that's the way I look at it. The big elections determine what happens, rolls downhill. So, if you don't like policies and economic policy that creates the burden on your local community, then pay attention in the bigger elections, get engaged and vote and support right candidates. So, way it goes.
So the other question I have then, are we going to, do you guys want to do this as effective 23, collect 24, or effective 24, collect 25?
First one I would suggest.
Sooner, right?
Wait, when would it be effective?
You have two choices. You can make it effective this year, which means it collects next year. So we get our first payment next year.
Or do you
on this.
mean,
Or it's effective
But
in
if it's 24, 25, is that up for the new property values?
No.
No, it's still.
No, it's still, because, yeah, the levy would still have the dollar amount.
so when does, I want it to correspond with the 7 mil levy. So are we collecting, so if it's
Well, the
effective.
7 mil levy right now is effective through 23, effective through, no.
24.
22, 23, 24.
If you don't do
Effective
it
through
for-
24, collects beginning in 25.
If you don't collect in 24, this
Right, I know, but
Yeah.
I just need you guys to tell me
Yeah,
one
but
way or
wait,
the other.
right.
We need to start collecting in 2024.
Okay, so this would start collecting next year.
Yes.
Okay, so because they'll be effective next year?
It would be effective in 23. So when it goes on the ballot, it would show effective tax year 2023, but collects, because remember, it's effective 1 year and collects the next year. It's always in arrears by a year.
But I think it would be effective, isn't it effective next year and collects next year? Because you wouldn't want them.
You have to have it effective before it can collect, so it needs to be effective for the year.
And you would want it
before
effective
it
this year
collects.
because of the valuation.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be retroactive to the first of
The
this year.
valuation wouldn't matter, just because it's
Yeah,
stated
yeah.
in the
Right, it still counts for
documentation.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I would suggest you go effective this year, collecting next year, because that then we would be getting that $3.2 million.
You don't kill your general fund.
What's the exact language that's?
Well, it's changing.
Yeah, the prosecutor's office is working on a template for us. Hopefully in the
I mean,
next.
the old language clearly stated.
that'll be my last formal.
The old
Okay.
language didn't, it would just say, company at the rate not exceeding 7 mils for each $1 valuation, which amounts to 70 cents for each $100 evaluation for 3 years, commencing in 2022, first due in calendar year 23. So I would suggest that you do, it would say for 2 years commencing 2023, first due in calendar year 24.
It says commence.
That's my
Yeah.
preference.
First due, okay, so with that, what date would it first be due in 2024?
That March.
June,
Yeah, it would pay in the March. We would get the first piece of that in the March
February.
payment, March,
Okay,
April
but that
payment.
means that would be retroactive to January 1st of this year. So then people will get and be in arrears. Is that, I just want it to correspond with however the current levy is, because
The current levy stops collecting, it's right there. 22, 23, 24. So it's effective through 24 and collects through 25. So if you did a 2-year effective in 23, it would collect 24 and 25.
So then it would
collect the
line
same.
up.
Yes.
okay, I wanted to match whatever,
Yes.
but
And
that
then it would be
means,
effective 23, 24.
okay, yeah, just
and that's
double
when-
check
yeah.
all that, because then, so people by the time, so they'll get their new tax bill, but they'll already have arrears because they wouldn't have paid enough into their escrow if we start collecting, because they'll owe for this year.
It will open this year.
So then they'll, and sometimes you get caught with a double payment. And this is a pretty small amount, but if you've ever, though, your taxes are going up by 300 a month, but by the way, you're in arrears because, you know, it's effective. So I just wanted to match whatever.
No, I get it. I get it. So yeah, if you want to match, the current levy is effective 22, 23, 24. So if we add the 2 mills, then you would want that effective 23 and 24.
Yeah, and that way
So
they coincide.
all
Yeah,
syncs
lined
up
up.
with the
terminology is.
All right.
Crazy, isn't it?
Okay, well, you guys have given me what I need to
Okay.
move forward, so thank you for that.
Thanks for putting that together.
You're welcome. Hopefully that was helpful.
It was helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Always is.
Oh.
Anything else? Okay, I make a motion to approve resolution 23-149, meeting adjourned.
Second.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Right. Thank you.